All right, so I'm going to walk you through what I call hacking your interview. This is a step-by-step guide to an effective interview. And really, it's an essential skill to being a sought-after podcast guest. And that happens during two phases of the interview. What I like to say is before the interview and during the interview. I think a lot of times we as guests, we don't do a lot of pre-show or pre-interview prep, and we show up and we kind of wing it, hope that the host asks us some really great questions, that we'll be able to answer those questions effectively, and hope that the audience connects, and hope that our lead magnet is good enough, and hope they opt in. Like, there's a lot of hoping. So instead of hoping, let's hack it. Right. So before the interview, as soon as you get booked, you're going to want to reach out to the host and offer them what I like to call a little olive branch, a little sign of goodwill that you're going to be one of their most favorite guests that they've ever interviewed. So you're going to offer them your podcast interview sheet. And an example of a podcast interview sheet, right, can be found here. This is my podcast interview sheet that I'm just going to give you as an example. I used Canva to create it. I can give you the template if you need it. But it's really like a one sheet little resume builder, right? A little one form. Think about in Hollywood, all the actors and actresses have their headshot on the one side, and on the back is their little snapshot of their expertise, the value they bring. Podcast interview sheet, very similar. It's your resume, right? And you use this after you get booked the gig, not to get the gig, but once you've been offered a spot. This is an olive branch that's going to set both you and the host up for a really incredible interview. Now, the podcast interview sheet has three parts to it. Your host introduction, which is a pre-written introduction that your host can read word for word to introduce you to the audience. Part 2 is sample interview questions, 5 or 6 questions that the host can use to guide the interview and set you both up for this free-flowing dialogue. And then the third part is your official bio, which can be used what I call to reset an interview. So if it's a show that has commercial breaks or lengthy segments, this is really something that a trained host will use to reset. By the way, we're speaking to media specialist, or we're speaking to 15-time published author. We're speaking to the award-winning who won host of Best Morning Talk Show, right? They're using some of the official bio facts to reset the interview. So those 3 parts are included in your interview sheet. Some extra bonuses, it's in your brand colors. It's got your photo, right? Your headshot, maybe some samples of logos of media that you've been featured on, the book cover, but you really want to keep it clean and simple. Here's how the flow goes, right? So that's pre-interview, right? Before you even get to the studio, you've already sent them your interview sheet. So they have the introduction and the sample questions that they can use to introduce you and to have a free-flowing conversation. 8 out of 10 times when I send somebody my media sheet, my podcast interview sheet, they use it exactly. They read it word for word. They read the questions. They follow exactly everything I send to them. The other 2, right, they might have a different dialogue, a different flow, something different that they're wanting to do. It's their show, they get to, but honestly, 8 out of 10 times, they use my interview sheet verbatim, exactly as I send it to you. Day of, right, here's the interview flow. The host introduces you, right? That's the key to all of this, is that they are introducing you, your expertise, and the top things you'll share with the audience. This is where that transfer of trust builds up. When people do business with people they know, like, and trust, people trust the audience or the host. They trust this podcast. They trust this platform. They are introducing you. You get instant credibility. You are the authority in the space simply because you're being introduced by the host onto their platform, borrowing their audience. They are trusting their audience with your expertise. The host will ask you a series of questions to ensure an engaging dialogue. And then to wrap up the show, the host will often ask you to share how the audience can connect with you. So that's kind of the flow. They'll set it up, dialogue, and then you'll wrap it up. So the challenge, right, of being a sought after guest comes in how your answers flow, whether or not you engage with the audience, and ensuring that your answers lead them to take action, i.e. opt in to your lead magnet. Right? So here's what the ratio of stories, answers, and tips look like. When you're hosting a webinar, you're speaking from stage, 50% of your content is always in the tips, right? In the education, because you want to ensure that the audience is gaining value before you offer them something to purchase. A podcast is set up differently. There is no sales pitch at the end. It's all free content. Your offer, your freebie, your lead magnet is an extension of your free content. So during an interview, 50% of your time is connecting with the audience. You're creating a mindset shift about something they are already interested in. The reason they're listening, they already have an interest in this topic. So you know they already have an interest. We need to grab their attention and create a mindset shift, not necessarily teach them something. We want to get in their heads, right? We want to build rapport. We want to establish some credibility. We want to disrupt what they already know. We want to give them new discovery that helps lead them to better results than they are getting before they heard of you, right? So here's the prep, right? We're going to prepare ourselves in advance, first by knowing who our dream audience is, how we can help them the most, and what it is we're going to share. So who are we talking to? How can I help them the most? And really, what am I going to share that my dream audience needs help with, right? So here's the 4 steps: build rapport, establish credibility, disrupt what they already know, and give them new discovery. So building rapport, a backstory about why you're so passionate, super clear about who you help and what their challenge is. Establishing credibility, it's your expertise, right? Your background, how many years experience, the lessons you've learned, the clients you've served, right? What are your qualifications? Disrupting what they know, common myths, seemingly common solutions, why it's not working, right? Biggest obstacle that's keeping them from seeing a result, the hurdles that are in their way. These are things that you watch your clients waste money, spin their wheels, get frustrated doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. So if you can share their pain and their struggle during this interview, they're going to relate to you, right? They're going to want to pay attention. They're going to lean in. They're going to turn up their headphones a little bit, right? They need to know, like, this is me. This is the challenge. Yep, I've tried that. Right? I've tried that. Yes. I've been dieting and I keep losing weight, but I keep gaining it back. Or I'm trying to be a better mom to my kids, but we keep fighting. Or I'm trying to get ahead of my finances, but I'm still broke and in debt, right? So you really want to get in there with just relating to them that it's not their fault, right? The industry has set it up. The way that we've been taught as entrepreneurs is backwards. It's old school. It's outdated, right? So think about all of those things, right? That you can now really connect with them. And then we want to give them the new discovery, a better result, right? So this is your personal story to how you discovered the solution. It includes a bold statement or a bold promise, right? You will lose weight. You will fall in love again. You will connect with your kids, more deeply. What is that bold statement, that bold promise? In here is where we do share some tips. We do want to have a result. We want to give them things they can take action on and see a result. But mostly we want to lead them to go take action into getting our free gift, right? They now know that there's a better way, right? You're the expert. You've walked this walk. You've been on this journey. This is how you help your clients. And you want to help me too. All I got to do is go get your free gift and then have a really great closing remark that ties back into our free gift. So this is how it's set up, right? You send them the questions, pre-send it to the host, a 50-word introduction, introducing yourself, what's in it for the audience. Here's some sample questions. And then, so I have, A through M, and then here's what that looks like. And, tell our audience about yourself. What are the common myths? What's the biggest hurdle? What's the best steps? And I've key coded it, right, to that answer. And so your take action, your homework is fill this form out, right? Who's your audience? What's the challenge that you're solving? Why are you the authority? What's your expertise, right? So fill this out so you'll have it as a guide on your next interview. So you can be a sought after podcast guest with just a little homework, a little prep, and I can't wait to hear your next interview.